Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, August the 16th, the 228th day of the year. There are 137 days left in 2022, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. Today we celebrate our 100th episode of Tuesdays with Thom. 100. That's right. It's a milestone we're proud of. Thanks to you out there who have been kind enough to come in on as guests. Those of you in the chat, those of you who watch and listen but don't want your name called out and prefer to remain anonymous. Thank you. We appreciate you. 100 episodes. It has been fun. Not just 100 episodes, but the entire journey, the adventure. Looking back, how did we get here? How did I get here? Let's see. After college, and what I did was ask everybody to talk about their journey. After college, I knew what I wanted to do. First of all, I wanted to play some more football. I did that briefly, but I'd had enough. I had a turn in radio. Exactly 1 week, I think. I was hired at the Bull radio station in Birmingham, Alabama, and within that same week, WBMG Television in Birmingham offered me a television job. I became the floor man, which was a fancy name for the guy who assisted on all productions. In other words, go get this, go get that. Shortly thereafter, I was given the opportunity to be the late night news wrap-up guy. That was a blast. We actually recorded the news about 8 p.m. and then it was played back as a late night wrap-up around midnight. But it created a following. Late night people would stop me during the day and tell me what they were doing when I came on after midnight. If they were stoned, it seemed I was more fun to watch. During the day, I drove the 42 news car when I went out and shot news stories. A news car had a big old 42 painted on either side of it. You couldn't miss me. In the evening, I'd put the stories together for the 10 o'clock live news, and then it was my turn after midnight. A midnight adventure. But money came into play, and I needed to make more of it, so I was hired in PR for the telephone company. South Central Bell, a subsidiary of AT&T, which would later become Bell South, which then became AT&T again. There I learned how to put together shows like Tuesday with Thom for the company. I learned how to manage executives, managing up, we called it. I learned how to be an executive. My friend Manuel and I bought a laundromat. I wanted to learn how to run a day-to-day business, manage employees and customers, make a monthly profit. We did that, and then we sold the business. In the middle of all this, I became an actor. I was lucky. Most actors at work generally hit some luck along the way. I hired onto a top 10 show and stayed there for 6 years in the recurring role of character of Ted Marcus on In the Heat of the Night. It was that blessing that got me the role of Big Ben Washington in Miss Evers' Boys, the title role in NYPD Blues episode of Lost Israel, which put me in the Museum of Broadcast Television, and Miss Evers' Boys in a 12-year stay in Hollywood. This 100th show of Tuesdays with Thom puts me back where I started, and that's a blessing. Thank you. So let's have some fun. So this edition of Tuesdays with Thom, like most, is sponsored by our partners, the Best Girl consulting firm. Best Girl has been providing customized solutions to executive issues for 34 years. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
That fits your needs. So today's episode will feature audience participation. This week, it's your turn. You may have ideas about a subject we've discussed, questions for the person who discussed it. The 100th is your opportunity. You can put it in the chat or let us know what you think. I already got some people in the chat. I think I'll just read off a couple. Lachelle Law Vaughn says, congratulations. Thank you very much. Vernell says, good morning and congratulations on the 100th episode. She looks forward to 100 more. Joyce Gilly Gossam says, congratulations on the 100. Antley Lamont Staten, congratulations on 100 shows. And he's got a story for us. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Now, G-List. Lori Wallace says, good morning. She's excited about the show today. And congratulations on our 100th episode. We appreciate it all. And we will continue to rock on. We will go with the round table. I'm going to start with Michael Walker this day. And Michael, how are you?
Good morning, Thom. I'm doing well. I hope you are too today.
I'm doing very well. So tell me what's happening with you on this 100th episode anniversary type thing.
Well, I've got a couple things prepared. I will take just a few moments of self-indulgence and share with everyone how I got here as well. I studied communications and marketing at Auburn University. And while I was there, I was news director of the campus radio station. I did government affairs at another radio station and sports at still another one. And I also did a job with Channel 38 TV, Columbus, Georgia, as an on-camera reporter. So like yourself, I drove around in a little news car with number 38 on the side of it.
It was fun, wasn't it?
It was fun. It was fun. And I have to admit to you that I had some real interesting times there. But, you know, I did a story with a hypnotist one time where we featured a guy that was a hypnotist, and I interviewed him, and he hypnotized me on air there and took over.
Really?
Yes, he did. Well, I was faking it, to be honest. But
okay.
I wasn't going to allow myself to be subjected to that. But he took over the mic and said, signing out for Michael Walker. I'm Dr. So-and-so, Channel 38 News. So
okay.
That was interesting. And like you, for our evening newscast, we would record our newscast earlier in the day. And so it'd come on at 5 or 6. And then myself and my team person would go and check in a hotel and watch ourselves on TV to critique ourselves, to see how it came across and what have you. So it was a lot of fun doing that. And after graduating from Auburn and working in that field for a while, like you, I needed to make more money coming out at that particular time. I was offered a job full time at a television station, starting out at $10,000 a year in 1979. And that was not going to quite cut it for my lifestyle. So I ended up going to work at South Central Bell at the time, working in marketing, because they started me out $6,000 more and a promise for another $6,000 raise in 6 months. So that took me on a different path. But it was fun. I've always enjoyed communications. I've spent time broadcasting. When my daughter was playing basketball, I was the announcer for the varsity boys and girls basketball team, and I've done a lot of things along the way just to keep it fun. So,
you mentioned the guy hypnotized you, and you talk about the people you interviewed. What was the guy name who was the head of the Ku Klux Klan? David something.
David Duke.
David Duke. I had to interview David Duke one time. And they were saying, well, nobody wants to interview him. I said, well, I'll interview him. And we had a ball. He wasn't, I mean, you know, I'm sure he wasn't being his Ku Klux Klan character, but we did. We got along well and had some fun. And I've always been proud of that. You know, hell, I interviewed the Ku Klux Klan.
And he didn't have a mask on at the time.
Yeah, he didn't. No, he didn't. He wasn't chasing me.
I hear you. Well, Thom, in honor of our 100th show, and, you know, you and I talk about, we have a fellow Auburn alum that when he get up and gave a speech one day, he said, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it real. So, you know, in some lingo, is the 100 is keeping it real, you know.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is share a couple things about the significance of the number 100 with our audience today. And as you all know, some of the, you know, more common is, you know, 100 years in a century. But did you know that in Greece, India, and Nepal, 100 is the police telephone number?
Is it?
Yes. In Belgium, 100 is the ambulance and firefighter number. Wow. And in the United Kingdom, 100 is the telephone operator. So like we have 411 in United Kingdom is 100. Now that's pretty interesting
Okay.
there. Now,
Yeah.
from a spiritual standpoint, 100 is the totality, and you know about Josephus related to the 10 and the end of things or the end of time. The number also represents completeness, as in 100%. And the sum of all occurrences of all numbers in the Bible or multiply gives 100. Okay.
Cool.
Now, here's something else that's interesting that people may not know is the sum of the first 9 prime numbers is 100. And the sum of the first total 10 odd numbers equals 100. There are one. Say that again?
Yeah, no. So you're saying what? What equals 100? 3, 5, 7? Go ahead.
They say the sum of the first 9 prime numbers is 100, and the sum of the first 10 odd numbers equals 100.
Okay, now I refresh my memory because it's been a minute since I've been out of school. What's a prime number?
I don't know. That was one that got me too. I didn't have time to look that one up.
Okay. We'll look it up after the show.
There are 100 letter tiles in a Scrabble game.
Wow. Okay.
And some people know this. I'm sure you know this. The record number of points scored in one NBA game by a single player was 100 points, set by Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors in March of 1962.
I think he got 50-something rebounds that same night or something. Yes. Some incredible statistic. Yeah.
Exactly. And I just think he scored 100 on the dot, Yeah. For those people that pay the lottery, if you had $100 billion, you could spend $3 million a day every day for the next 100 years.
Wow. Well, I ain't got to worry about that.
From a biological standpoint, there are 100 sweat glands in 1 square inch of skin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when you're working out and you're sweating, just think about that. You've got 100 sweat glands. That's why you're sweating so much.
Wow.
As we all know, 100 pennies equals $1, but 100 pennies equal 250 grams, which is a little over a half a pound. And then for students, this is one that I found very interesting. Elementary teachers across the nation organize a momentous event on the 100th day of school. Why is this important? It is a huge step in learning about place value for this age group of students. Students will engage in projects to make something out of 100 objects or build some representation of 100s. And teachers will dress up like they are 100 years old.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know what that looks like. My dad lived to be 96 and he was still pretty spry.
Well, according to the Bible, Abraham had Isaac when he was 100 years old and his wife Sarah was 91.
Man. They kept it real. They kept it 100.
It was 100.
Okay, that's great, man. Thank you. That's great. Let's see what Barbara's got to say about keeping it 100. Where are you, Barbara?
I'm here. Good morning, guys.
You keeping it 100 this morning?
I'm keeping it 100 this morning. I don't know how I got here. I don't have a background in TV or radio. I just know people in high places like you and Michael. So that's how I got here on the show.
You get around.
Oh, I'm just excited to be here and involved in Jesus with Thom. This has been such a joy for me, and to know that we've made 100 shows. I look back over the 100, I guess it's almost been 2 years for us now, and it's hard to believe that we've been on every week for 2 years almost. This is just unbelievable. But it's been such a fun time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've learned so much. So, and I hear from our viewers all the time how much they learn from my shows and how much they appreciate it and enjoy it. So it's certainly been a joy for me.
It's something that I think it's one of those things that it didn't set out to say we're going to do X number, we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
Right.
But it has turned into a joy, and I think Emily can probably attest to this, that we started talking about the 100 show about 2-3 months ago, at least maybe more than that, and what we could do for the 100 show, and it's just been quite a blessing. And so,
yes, it has.
Again, I thank everybody again. So, Barbara, you got anything else you want to say? We got some other people want to talk today. We're going to let them talk, but go ahead, Barbara.
That's good. I'm just, Thom, I'm looking forward to football season. We're less than, I think, well, right around 2 weeks away from the kickoff of football, college football season. And the
Is it really?
Yeah, AP polls came out yesterday, and that we have 3 teams from the SEC in the top 10. We're excited about that. Auburn's not there. Neither is South Carolina, Antley. So, but we do have 3 teams in the SEC in the top AP college football polls.
Georgia, Alabama, and who's the other one?
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Okay.
Yeah. So, looking forward to the kickoff of football season. It's kind of a dead period right now. There's not a lot going on. The Auburn basketball team was over in Israel a couple of weeks ago and played some games there, and that was fun to watch. So now it really got me looking forward to football and basketball season coming up. So it's going to be great.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Michael, do you have anything else?
Well, I just kind of want to piggyback a little bit off of what Barbara says. I don't know. There's been a feud going on in Kentucky between John Calipari and Mark Stoops, the football coach there. Calipari has called Kentucky a basketball school, and Mark Stoops is saying it's a football school. So our coach, Brian Harsin, decided to get in on the action, and he trolled them with a picture of he and Bruce Pearl, where Bruce Pearl said Auburn is an everything school. Yes, every game school. And in other words, we win championships across the board, not just in one sport. So he's been trolling them because of that. So I find that kind of interesting that Harsin is kind of stepping into the fray, and he has a lot of confidence this year, I guess, since he survived the coup attempt.
He does.
So he's sticking his chest out now and like, I'm here,
And he also, I didn't read it. I just saw a photo and a little cut line that said something about who's this guy named the one who played quarterback last year, and
TJ Finley.
Yeah, that he thought he was doing really well or something to that effect.
He is doing real. So is Robbie Ashford. So I think football season is going to be very interesting this year. We don't know who the starting quarterback will be, but I understand there's a chance it could be 2 quarterbacks that are rotating in and out constantly. So we'll see how that all goes.
Well, I will say this. I think they're going to have to figure out a way to get Robbie Ashford on the field. That's my pick to be the quarterback. I think he has more upside potential than any of them do. And he was a quarterback that played at Birmingham. He came out the same year as Bo. And I really wanted Auburn to go get him. He wanted to come to Auburn, and Gus told him he needed to go somewhere else because Auburn had their quarterback, which was Bo.
Which is really interesting because Bo is now at Oregon and Robbie's at Auburn. So they just swap places. It's been, that's going to be interesting to see how that all turns out.
Yes. And I must say Malik Willis is looking pretty good in the pros.
Oh, yes, he is.
Well, we won't go back into that story.
I had to get it in, Thom.
And Thom, I see where Tuskegee held their first scrimmage on Auburn's stadium at Jordan Hare Stadium.
What was that about?
Weekend.
What was that?
Like a East Central Alabama Big Cat collaboration or something. So they wanted to hold their scrimmage there and got approval to do so.
And that was pretty interesting that they extended that opportunity to Tuskegee to do a scrimmage there. And I think that this new coaching staff is trying to build some goodwill around the area. Okay. Their idea is to really try to stop Alabama and particularly and these other schools coming into their backyard stealing their players. So they've made it a priority to position themselves with the Montgomerys and the, Tuskegee, Phoenix City, all around that area because there's so many pro players that come out of that area. They want to get them and keep them. So I think that's part of it.
It used to be a big thing in recruiting who signed majority of the players from Alabama. Between Auburn and Alabama, that was a big deal when Bear Bryant, Pat Dye, and those guys were coaching. Who got the majority of the prospects from Alabama and Georgia. And I think Gus expanded that, and of course Saban has expanded it so that with Saban it's a national thing. So I think it's a good idea to go back and shore up your borders, so to speak.
Right.
And I also, from a distance, because I've never met the man, I think Harsin is expressing a lot more confidence in who he is and what he has and what he can do. And so that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah. We'll look forward to it.
And Thom, you mentioned the recruitment thing between Alabama and Auburn. I saw an interesting article this past weekend that Auburn is actually winning the enrollment war between Alabama and students from the state of Alabama. Auburn enrolled in 2021, fall of 2021, 14,460 students from the state, and Alabama enrolled 13,367, which was totally surprising to me because with Alabama having a larger enrollment numbers, I thought that was very interesting.
Well, I think it's interesting. That would beg another question: how many of them are people of color? And so,
I have actually the author of that article. I've actually written to him an email asking him to look at those numbers for us as well. He asked if there were any other suggestions for future articles, and I asked him if he could look at those numbers of the Black enrollment at each of those schools for in-state students and compare that and see how, what that looks like. So hopefully we'll see that soon as well.
Well, I think we will. And the thing about what I say about Auburn right now is that there's been a huge turnover in leadership, not just at the president's level, but at some of the other levels on campus. They've gotten younger. I think maybe, hopefully, a little more progressive. And, I told you, Barbara, that there was something I wanted to work on regarding James and Henry. Well, I planted that seed last week, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. If there's anything I can do to help with that, please let me know.
Okay, we'll see. So let me go back. Emily Hedrick says that prime numbers aren't divisible by anything other than that number and 1. Does anybody Michael, can you explain that?
Well, basically, it's just the same thing. It's 100.
Yeah, those prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29.
Okay. And Sean commented LOL. So that basically settles that.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. We've got Anthony has chimed in here, Vernell, Joyce, other people here. So this is great. Lori, Barbara. Joyce says a prime number cannot be divided by any other number. Okay. Like I told you guys, I left prime numbers a long time ago, so I will have to take your word for it. Okay. Well, now that we have determined that everything is 100, let's move on and go see what Sean's got to say to us. Sean is going to do Got a Minute this morning. Sean, where are you?
Good morning. My name is Sean Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Hello and happy Tuesday to everyone joining in with us this morning. Today is our 100th episode of Tuesdays with Thom, and I'm super excited to be part of such an amazing team. They welcomed me with open arms, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since. Now, speaking of rocking and rolling, in honor of our 100th episode, I thought it was only right that I share my most favorite guest. Yes, all of our guests did show up and show out, and this guest in particular inspired me to reach new heights. Can you guess who? No? Well, this guest is all the way from episode 59, and she goes by the name of Crystal Harrell. Crystal is the CEO and founder of Crystal Clear Innovation. She is also an author of her very first book, Crystal Clear, a journey of self-discovery from public housing to Ivy League, which was released in March 2021. Crystal spoke about living in Bali and how she became a certified academic success coach in 2019. She also talked about how she's helped dozens of students navigate from higher education from all backgrounds. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Sean Jones, and this is Got a Minute.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much. Let's see. Facebook user didn't want to use their name. That's cool. Said good morning. Pat Eddington says this is an important day for my best girlfriends. Congratulations. So thank you guys so much. So let's see. We're Hollywood has the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. And I went back and looked at our G list guest list, and it's pretty impressive. We've had some very interesting people from all across the board. And so today we've got some G-list guests. We have more than one guest. We have G-list guests from our regulars, our guest list and our regulars. So let's see who we got on here. Who do we have on here? M? Okay, I know we had Antley at one time. We have Barbara.
Yes, we have Antley Staten and Barbara Pitts Larkin and possibly Tracy Muhammad.
Okay.
There we are.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, man?
Hello, everybody.
Fine.
Hello.
Hey, Barbara, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
So, Antley, I got to ask you a question here.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I got to say congratulations, first of all. I saw you hit one knee, and
It's still hurting.
to marry you.
And my knee's still hurting. The knee is still hurting, sir. Thank you.
Tell me that you were telling us a story before we came on. Why don't you tell everybody that story?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, my Tuesday morning family, as I call y'all, for letting me be on the 100th episode. I've been rocking with you, been keeping it 100 with you since episode 44, when I became a special guest, and been hooked ever since. So I want to thank y'all for letting me be here today. Wow. Oh, so this weekend, I had the privilege of almost had my life taken by Secret Service. I met National Congressman Jim Clyburn. He came into my classmate's restaurant. 4 or 5 Secret Service people.
You say your restaurant?
No, my classmate's restaurant.
Okay, I hear you.
My classmate's restaurant.
Okay.
And you know, when he walked in, you know, I kind of knew him, but I didn't want to be wrong because I'm like, this guy was real famous. I hadn't seen him on TV. And I had to, I walked past the Secret Service without stopping by, and it almost became really ugly. But I got my picture with the man. Real nice guy, real cool guy. I had like 5 seconds of conversation with him. Real cool guy. So Jim Clyburn, how you doing?
And
Just
tell
in
them
case you're watching.
where you're located.
Columbia, South Carolina. My classmate's restaurant is called Miss B's Bar and Grill Soul Food. Okay. So I guess Jim Clyburn wanted some Cornish hen and oxtails and that good soul food. I guess he had to come to Columbia to get it. So if you ever in Columbia,
100, huh?
Keep it 100. That's right. and by the way, he left $100 tip, but he left pay with $100 bill. So let's keep the 100 thing going here. And he paid for his food and divided everything up a month, the tip. So thank you. Keep it 100.
Michael, I think you brought this keeping it 100 back. Now,
yes.
You heard that, what was it, 2 years ago when William gave that speech?
Yes.
Yeah, we probably should let everybody know that that's running joke is that we were down at Auburn for I think it was the Black Alumni Weekend, and a lot of the ex-athletes were there, and William Andrews got up to give a speech, and he started out by saying, I'm going to keep it 100. I'm going to keep it real. And everything was 100 and stuff. So Thom and I have been teasing each other about keeping it 100 ever since then. But that's to our good friend William Andrews, who played running back at Auburn, as many of you know, went on to be drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. And he's in the Ring of Honor with the Atlanta Falcons. He's a good friend of ours. So that's to you, William. We're keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
So Antley, Lori Wallace says it's great finally to put a face to the voice of the funny man.
Well, thank you. It's an honor.
And Yvonne Smith says, I consider you guys family because my cousin is part of this amazing team. I assume that's you, Barbara.
That's me.
I enjoy most of the laughter. It's genuine. Michael, how smart is Walker? I don't understand that, but maybe you do, Michael. Continue the joy. Sounds good. So we got another guest here, Barbara Pitts Larkin. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Thom and team. I'm doing well, and thank you all for inviting me to be on during this special episode of 100. I love it. Thank you.
I asked Barbara Wallace, I asked her where you were because we hadn't seen you in a while, and she says, you guys been getting up walking every morning. So that's good.
Well, we do occasionally. We do. But I've been, I did caregiving for my parents for a number of years, and that puts you in a space where you're limited, but nevertheless, it was a joy to do that. And now that they have passed on to glory at age 90 and 99,
wow.
I'm happy to be out and be in new spaces, and this is a new space for me. So thank you for inviting me.
So you were following us earlier. Do you have a favorite episode or a favorite guest or just anything you want to share with us?
Well, I really enjoyed your fan club that came on for your character on Heat of the Night. I thought that was just absolutely entertaining. I learned so much about you, and I learned what is it, Ted Marcus? Is that the name they call it?
Yes, I'm Ted.
I found that so delightful. And the other thing I found delightful is that knowing you, Thom, and realizing how you were respected all over the world was just so inspirational for me. I remember when I was working for Auburn University and I was traveling in New York, and I was staying at this lovely hotel to see alumni of Auburn in New York, and you popped up on the television in a commercial. And I sat up straight in the bed and said, I know who that is. I couldn't believe it. I said, Thom Gossam, here he is all over the place. So I'm just real proud of you and your career. You're an inspiration to all of us and so many alumni.
Thank you.
So I've enjoyed this particular show because it does so many things. First, it educates us. and second, it entertains us, you know. And the three of you have various and different personalities. And so when one gets stuck in, you know, the statistics and all of that, somebody pops up with something really funny and kind of breaks the ice and educates us, then we go back and get more education. And so I just appreciate all three of you in your morning show. I don't always get up because I'm retired now. So I'm usually in bed listening to the three of you. And it's an exciting show, and I will continue to listen to you in the future as well.
That's great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate
Yes.
it. You know, when you're doing acting work, people generally associate it with television and stuff, but there are all kinds of shapes and forms. And so, two things I'll tell you. One, my wife and I, we were in Boca. Were we in Boca? I think. And we checked into. It was a big convention. We checked into this hotel, and we go to our room, and there's a magazine laying on the little desk between the beds, and I'm on the cover of that magazine. And when we were walking through the hotel, I told my wife, I said, why all these people looking at us? I was on the cover of that magazine. And then I was in Philadelphia, and when we did Miss Evers Boys, and we were on the side of the bus. And man, that was cool, you know. It's like, look at that.
Cool.
We're on this bus. So it gets you around, and it's been an interesting ride. And from owning a laundromat to being Ted Marcus. So it's been a great ride.
And Thom, I learned something about you today. As long as I've known you, and I knew about your acting career, your author and your speaker and writer and entrepreneur business owner, I never knew you owned a laundromat. So that was news for me this morning.
On a laundromat over on 3rd Avenue West, not too far from Legion Field. And back when you could still own one and not necessarily, be in danger.
Right.
But it was a great experience, and I did. Michael and I laugh about it because we both were at Bell South AT&T, South Central Bell, whichever name you want to put on it this time. But we were all in management, but we weren't managing anything. I used to always say, what am I managing myself? Because I didn't have any budget. I didn't have any employees. So I went over there. We bought a laundromat, my good friend Manuel and I. And we ran that thing for a while. We made a little money off of it. And then we sold it when the neighborhood started to change. But I wanted to know how to run a business so that I can do the things that I do, that I've been doing for the past 20 some odd years. And that's great. Running Best Girl, and which is the name of our business, which is the business that basically sponsors TWT. So it's been a great ride.
Thom, one of the questions I keep getting all the time is, where did Best Girl come from? Would you share with our viewers how you all came up with the name Best Girl Inc.?
I would tell everybody to go to our website, Best Girl Inc., and there's a story on there that talks about Best Girl. When I met Joyce is my wife, I first of all told her that she was the best girl. And she said, "What are you saying, girl? What is that?" I said, "I'm from Alabama. That's the way we pronounce it. We say girl." And then I just named her the Best Girl. And it stuck, and it stayed there, and so when we changed the company name around this was 2004. We decided we would name it Best Girl, and I tell you what's been interesting is it was such an odd name in the beginning. I remember calling a guy one time, and you know how your number comes up on the phone and your name, Best Girl, and he said, "Man, I almost didn't answer this thing. I I thought that was one of those 0800 numbers. I thought you were trying to sell me some sex stuff. No. So, but it's amazing how it's caught on, how it has worked. And then we came up with crazy titles for everybody. Joyce is the princess, Emily is the communicator, Sean is the organizer, and they dubbed me the chief check writer. And so, we have fun. So
Good.
that's kind of how we got there. Hey, Eric's not on here, is he? So I wanted to just tell you some of the people who pitched in here. Eric Simmons, you guys remember Eric? Eric was on. I don't know what, I can look it up and tell you, but Eric was on with us, and he played basketball at Auburn. Eric was on June the 8th, 2021, but he's been on again. And Eric said he enjoyed the episode where we had the reunion, and the reunion of the Auburn athletes with Cedric McIntyre, Mitzi Jackson, Sullivan Butterball Walker, Reese McCall. We had all them on, and myself, and these were the first Black athletes to play at Auburn, and it was a great session, and you know, we're all still pretty close, and that's important. So Eric, if you're out there, man, thank you for sending this in. And Eric gave us a suggestion that we have Gary Redding on. Gary Redding may have been Auburn's first Black all-academic SEC player. Bobby Pritchard was Auburn's first Black coach, would be another suggestion. So we try and get those people on, especially the people who were first. Gary came back to that session Michael mentioned earlier, and it was the first time he'd been back since he graduated, because it was a different time. It was a different setting, and it wasn't always pleasant. So a lot of times people left and they didn't come back. And but we're working on that, and we're going to work on having those guys back in October. And for the James Owens Foundation, James Owens was, of course, the first African American football player at Auburn. And there's a book coming out about James this fall, and I hope you all will grab a copy and read it. And we've set up a foundation for James and James's family, and so it's something we can do to make sure that those guys are remembered and commemorated.
Yes.
So, Michael, Barbara, you got anything else?
Thom, I just want to give a shout out to some more of our viewers that are commenting this morning. I want to say good morning to Alicia Bryant, that's in Texas, Jasmine Deloach, Jasmine Wright, of course, Yvonne Smith, Anthony Tedeschi. So we got a couple other people that are Vernell Razor, so are joining us this morning. I want to say good morning to all those individuals, and I always go back to one of my favorite shows is Santa Claus. You know, around Christmas time, it's always enjoyable, always fun, and to have our own singing Santa who has promised to come back every year and bring us some Christmas joy. I thoroughly enjoy that show each year.
Good deal. Yeah, I enjoy the Christmas show as well. And,
yes.
We were somewhere. We were at the reception for the new president at Auburn.
Yes.
And I kept looking at this guy, and I said, Barbara, who is that guy? I know him. She said, that's Santa Claus. I didn't recognize him without his beard at all. But we're looking forward to having him this Christmas again, and he does a great job for it. I tell you, another one I enjoy is the 25 Days of Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's always fun too.
With his songs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's doing very well. I'm one of his Facebook friends. he wrote a play that's been picked up and that's going to be performed at one of the theaters. And he and I we had a class at UCLA about 2 years ago, production class. And like most of us, it was during the pandemic, so most of us never met. And so we had a little subgroup of that group that met in Los Angeles this year. And so there were about a dozen of us that showed up out there. And so that was great. It's been good. Hopefully we'll all get to meet each other one day. But these are all young people who are writing movies, writing films, wants to be in the business. And so it was an interesting ride.
Yes.
Joyce says that her favorite people to be on the show have been Cheryl Jones. Cheryl was one of our first guests. She was great. She brought her piano and she played for us, and we should maybe have Cheryl back on again because she was absolutely great. Sabina, who remembers you tell us about Sabina, Barbara?
Sabina, I think was she's from Africa, but she lives in South Carolina now. Is that right? I don't remember all the details.
Does she live down here?
But
was
yes.
she the lady?
Yeah,
Joyce
she's
put
in
it
Florida.
up. Okay, yeah. Okay, the cake lady.
Mm.
You guys remember the cake lady?
Yes.
Where was the cake lady from? Atlanta?
Atlanta, Georgia. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Jason Peavy. I remember Jason very well.
Yes.
Jason is going to work for the Honor Palmer Foundation.
Yes.
And he's a great golfer. His daughter, he has a daughter, and I don't know how old she is. Very young, maybe 6, 7, somewhere in there. She's a great little golfer, buddy. And he sends out videos of her. And I think she's going to do very, very well. And then, okay, so that's it. So Angela Howard Gibbs says, what advice do you have for someone who would like to get into marketing podcasts? Michael?
Well, I guess the advice that I would give is, first of all, when you're looking at getting into a podcast, you got to first of all figure out the equipment that you have, because you want it to be very professional. Make sure you have your equipment in place. Then secondly is, what's going to be your main theme, your subject matter, or what's going to consist of the program that you're going to try and market to everybody. And I kind of venture back to what Barbara Larkin said about our show, is that they are educated as well as entertained. Mm-hmm. And then we try to cover a broad base of the spectrum and have a lot of different people on to talk about different things. And that keeps the show interesting. So I would go back to answer your question and say, first, make sure that you have the equipment, your production is top notch, because you want to have quality from that standpoint. And then you have to know exactly who your audience is going to be. You have to target your audience and make sure that there's a need for that, so that you will have that audience that will drive your podcast and make it successful. And then from that standpoint, as they all say, you got to keep it real, keep it 100, just to borrow from our theme. But from more importantly, on the serious note, is making sure that you're adding value. And that's what we try to do here on the show, is add value so that it's not a complete waste of time.
She sounds very interesting. I'm going to have to meet that young. What was her name again, Ted? What was her name again, Tom?
Was it which one was it?
Angela Howard Gibbs.
Yes. I'm going to have to meet her.
That's Aunt Liz' fiance, for those that don't know. She's the lucky lady.
So this means Antley's going to become our competition. He's trying to get into the business.
Yeah.
That has not yet been discussed, but I may need to get a lawyer. So if you can get in contact with Ted Marcus, I may need a lawyer on that.
I'm sure Ted will work with you. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Ted works cheap, I hear. Okay. Anybody? What else? Anybody else got anything?
Got some more comments, Thom. We
Okay.
say good morning from Atlanta, from Anthony and Brenda Aiken. They're friends of Barbara Pitts-Larkin.
Great.
And my cousin LaShawn Lavon says good morning, that she agrees that the Christmas show was great. Lori Wallace says she's enjoyed the episode with Eric Simmons as well as the reunion of the athletes. It was a great show. She said, however, there hasn't been any show that she didn't enjoy. She's got a takeaway from every show that she's watched and enjoyed them all. So that's great. Thank you. I want to say good morning also to Pat Eddington, who's also watching. Pat has been one of our G-List guests, and that was also one of my favorite shows. She's a fellow Mobilian, and we had a wonderful time on that show with Pat, and I've actually got a chance to go down to Mobile and have lunch with Pat. So good morning, Pat. We're happy to have you with us this morning as well.
And let me comment on Pat and say that Pat has written a wonderful script called Gulf Stream, that we're putting out in the market, and hopefully it will sell and do well. But it's a wonderful piece of work, and we congratulate her.
Yes.
Sabina lives in Niceville. We asked about Sabina. She provides employment to women in her home country on the continent of Africa, making teas, body products, and baobab.
Yeah, baobab. Yes.
Is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Yes.
So that's who Sabina is.
That's right. Sabina's going to go. I think she's going back to Africa, and both Joyce and I have volunteered to go with her, maybe this year or sometime next year. So we're looking forward to hopefully getting a chance to go to the motherland.
All right. Sounds good. Let's see what else we got. We got a few more minutes. Anybody else got anything else?
Well, Thom, I think it would be appropriate if you would explain to our viewers and listeners how we came about our show and the beginnings, and how Barbara, yourself, and me, we all got together and began this, and what was the start of it, and what really brought it about.
We started in Birmingham, I think, and this is as close to radio as I've been since I worked at the Bull 100 years ago, so to speak. But friend of mine in Birmingham, Henry Ford, who you guys know, who's an Auburn guy, had purchased, or what have you, a radio outlet, an internet radio show. And we went over and we did, one show?
We did about two.
Yes, that's right. I think we did two. Yes.
We did 2 shows with him. And then, as with a lot of things, there was a falling out, so to speak. Everything wasn't 100. Let me put it that way. And so we decided we would table it and would come back later and do it. We had a young lady who came to work with us at Best Girl, who didn't stay very long, but she discovered StreamYard for us. And StreamYard has worked very well as the app that we broadcast on. And so then I went back, and I always told Barbara and Michael that we would put the show up again. I didn't know when. I think it took us over a year to get it back up again. And we put it back up, put it on StreamYard. It's worked very well. Emily came in and was running it for us. And, and then Sean has come in and works with, she and Emily kind of worked as partner and tag team this thing. And I just want to say now they're behind the scenes. Sean has been on today. Emily is hiding. She's not hiding, really. She's going to be upset with me.
She's working.
Emily is working. Emily does a great job. We appreciate it.
Emily.
and Emily and Sean keep this thing going, and it's been great. I've been doing this for a long time, on and off, and so when we were discussing having this 100th, I can kind of ad lib pretty good, and I know what I want in my head, but I don't oftentimes explain it clearly and distinctly. So we had a little discussion yesterday about how this was going to work. And as I told them, and we have a rule around Best Girl. If it doesn't work, it's my fault. If it's successful, it's their success. And so we decided that we would do this, and so far so good. So I told you it'd work, Em. And
it worked.
But she is very conscientious about her work, and so I appreciate that. Thanks, Em. Thank you, Sean. Hey, Tracy, how you doing, brother?
Tracy.
Uh-oh, you're muted.
We can't hear him.
You're on mute, Tracy.
There it goes.
Yeah.
Back on mute.
Nope.
There you go.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning. How are you, man?
Hey, I'm on this 100th episode, man. I'm hey, this is an honor beyond words.
You 100 this morning. Huh?
Hey, 99 and a half won't do today.
Trying to make 100.
All right.
Right.
Tracy, we appreciate you coming on, man. You were great when you were on, and we appreciate you continuing to follow us and be one of our regulars.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it, Thom and Barbara and Michael. I came on talking about breast cancer awareness 365,
right?
A nonprofit I started a few years ago, and I was invited to come on, and we got to talk about the journey I had with my late wife. Yes. And so whenever I tell the story, I don't want nobody to get sad, because it's a lot of joy. It's a lot of joy because it's 6 years out, and I'm still telling that story, her story, our story, to be able to help other people. And I want to thank this amazing platform, because every time I listen to this platform, I leave knowing a lot more than I knew when I came on. And I just want to say something about the saxophonist. I can't remember his name, but that was such a spiritual explanation, disposition.
Yes.
That God really used him, and he is an amazing conduit. I think the real reason why God wants music, if you didn't know, if you heard it and felt that brother, you really had a better understanding of the purpose of music, because my soul was satisfied, my spirit was satisfied, in particular that particular episode.
I saw him last week. We had dinner. He's a you're right, very, very spiritual man. He is working at Auburn now on a year's program, sponsored by one of the donors. And I think, of course, he's going to do very well, but he's also looking for that next opportunity. And I saw him play in New Orleans with one of the brothers down there.
Right, Marcellus brothers.
Yeah, one of the Marcellus brothers. So actually, I think it was the uncle. Okay. But they were great, and the place was packed. It was a little restaurant, and so I'm glad you brought him up, Tracy. Thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you all for bringing him, and as well as the other guests that were on this platform. And I pray that God continue to bless the unity in the team, and we thank you all for being such a harmonious group and a team. Maybe it has something to do with the Auburn connection. I don't know, but but y'all are very connected.
I don't think it started out that way. It just sort of has worked that way. But,
right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you guys, just some upcoming guests, just for your information. Joe Slowinski is the provost at Chapman University in Los Angeles. Joe is also a screenwriter. He wrote a film. Oh man, I can't think of the name of it now. But anyway, I was in it, and Joe and I got to be really good friends. So we're looking forward to having him. Mary Sood is the PR director at Talladega College, and we're looking forward to having Mary. Rick Davis is an attorney and an agent. He's an agent for college football coaches. And so he represents many of the coaches that you probably know of. He also played football at the University of Alabama. We played against each other. And Rick also held it was a session at the 16th Street Baptist Church where he had the first African-American athletes from Alabama and the first African-American athletes from Auburn. And we were on a panel, and it was a great, great panel. And I look forward to having Rick. Chris Hecox is the program director or the executive director at the Gooch Center, the new Performing Arts Center on Auburn's campus. Michael O'Neill is an actor. Michael's been on before. Michael and I, and you guys can keep this on your calendar, but on October 27th and 28th, Michael and I will do a play at the Gooch Center at Auburn called Alabama Boys. And we're looking forward to that. It should be a good show. The Owens Foundation on November the 15th. And that's as far out as we're going right now. But we also are going to have two guys from the Amazons, which is the team that we played on at Auburn. That was pretty amazing. We went 10-1 and just had a great run. And so we got one from the offense, one from the defense that we're going to try to bring on for you guys. And let's see, I think we got, we're trying to get the redemption of Bobby Love. I don't know if you guys know that story, Bobby and Shirley Love. They're shooting a film about it now, so I doubt if we'll be able to get him until that's over. But Bobby Love, the police knocked on his door one day and asked him his name. He gave them a name. They said, "No, what's your real name?" He said, "Bobby Love." Bobby Love had been arrested and was in jail for some crime. It wasn't a major crime, but it was something that he had done. And he escaped and had been on the run, so to speak, for 30 years. And had married, had a family, had married Cheryl Love. She didn't know anything about this. And so it's an incredible story that will be a film that should be coming out sometime in the next year or two. So those are going to be some of our future guests. I may have missed somebody. If I did, that doesn't mean you won't be on. You'll be on. Just keep it 100 and we'll get to you. Anybody got anything else?
Thom, I got a few more comments from the comment section I want to read. Jasmine Wright says, my favorite show was the recent show with Rashida Leroy with LRY Media in the World Games. She's a classmate of Jasmine's from the University of Alabama in Management Information Systems program. And Jasmine says she's so excited to see her success as a Black woman entrepreneur. I want to say good morning to my dear friend, sister friend, Elizabeth Hamlin, who was one of my co-workers for almost 30 years at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Elizabeth was the vice president there. She's watching us this morning. I think for the first time, she said she finally remembered to get up and join the show. So we're excited about having Elizabeth on board with us as well. And George said the dates for the play will be October 26th and 27th, Thom.
Okay,
for the Alabama Boys. Yes.
Sounds good. And we'll have Michael O'Neill on right before that. And it'll also be the week of the Amazons. And so we'll try to work all that in. Okay. And I want to say something about Miss Leroy as well. She was fantastic.
Yes.
Rashada Leroy. We were so glad to have her, LRY Media. And I've got a project coming up that maybe she can help us with. So we'll see.
That'll be great.
Anybody got anything else? Any final words?
Thank you, Thom, Michael, and Barbara for having me on. I appreciate it. And I'm glad to meet Aunt Lee, see that face, and Brother Muhammad. So good to hear your voice and hear part of your story. Thank you all for just letting me be a part of this wonderful occasion. 100, keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100.
And again, I also want to say thank you, and Mr. Thom, your wife, Michael, and Barbara. The date has been set, April the 22nd, right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Your invitations will be in the mail coming to you. And Mr. Thom, if you can find Ted Marcus, you can tell him he's invited as well.
I'm going to make sure Ted's invited. April the 22nd.
April the 22nd, that's a Saturday. And the invitation will be formally mailed to you as well.
Okay. Thank you.
And also,
congratulations.
Thank you. And also, Barbara, I'm looking forward. In 19 days, the season will start. Just want to give you correct, keep it 100. 19 days, college football season will start. Unfortunately, you're not on our list this year. You know, after that behind we gave you last year. We just didn't want no more. I'm just keeping it real. Just keeping it real.
Keeping it 100.
Keeping it 100, right?
Andy, we'll keep it 100, and maybe we can bring the show to your wedding. How about that?
Hey,
that would be awesome.
Saturday with Thom. Hey, no one that might work. That might work.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, thank you all once again. I just wanted to make an announcement, if it's okay.
Sure.
Thom, I want to say that Manning Up in the Kitchen is about to get back up in Birmingham. We're going to be doing some amazing things with that. I know you brought it up the last time. You hit me in my side a little bit. But I want you all to know that in Birmingham, Manning Up in the Kitchen will be coming back out, and we're not going to just be in the kitchen. We're going to be going to various Black restaurants, caterers, food trucks, bakers, and we're going to also do our shows from the community to expose our Black businesses that's in our area. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
Thanks, great. We appreciate it. Anybody else? Thank you, guys. It's been great. It's been wonderful. It's been better than I could have imagined, and certainly better than I explained to Emily and Sean. But I told them it would work. So anyway, thank you all. It's a wonderful day. Everybody have a great day.
Yes.
Let me see. I got to sign off. So anyway, I appreciate you guys, and we thank you. And that's our show for today, the 16th of August in the year 2022. All right. Peace.